Okay, the last thing that I don't
All right, here it is, the grand finale.
do anymore, which is, I mean, possibly more controversial than not going to church, is I don't get sick. I don't get sick anymore. I made this decision.
Let's unpack. Let's unpack that sentence. I don't get sick anymore. I made this decision. ... What the fuck?
Wait, what?
Girly, that's not how it works. God again. Hey, God, it's me, God. Your bestie. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. Work it. Don't get sick. I don't know. That's not how getting sick works, Rachel. Can you further explain how getting sick works, though? Thanks.
2.5 or 3 years ago, maybe 2. I don't remember. Sometime in the past few years, I made this decision that our minds are the most powerful thing in the whole of our being. They're so powerful. Your mind is so powerful. The reason I know your mind is so powerful is because your mind can make you believe things that are not actually happening. You can have a physical response to a thought that has not happened. It's why you can have an anxiety attack just imagining something that might occur, right? You can imagine what would happen if your mother-in-law got upset with you about something random, and you can feel yourself begin to have an anxiety attack based on an imaginary thing. In the same way that you could imagine something that's sexy that turns you on, you could start to think about like when your partner does that thing that they do in bed, and you could literally make your body can begin to get turned on based on a thought. Your mind is...
So therefore, I have discovered that fantasy can affect me physically. Therefore, I decided I no longer will be sick. Yeah, and anemia and hormonal imbalance, those are things you can't change. And miscarriages, can't change that either. That happened to her, not for her, but everything else happens for her, not to her. It's at her own discretion, except when it's not. It makes perfect sense, guys. It's called the law of the Hollis. However she wants to spin it is the way that it shall be. Hollis 412. Last time it was Hollis 316. Now we're talking about Hollis 412, okay?
Incredibly powerful when it comes to what your body is doing. There's a great documentary on this called Heal. It's older, but it's worth a look if you haven't ever seen it before. It explores our body and the healing process. There's a ton with this and quantum physics. You can look at the work of Joe Dispenza.
Oh God. Okay, bingo cards. Joe Dispenza's been announced.
I want to throw up. Hold on.
Joe Dispenza's got all the fucking, truth of the world. Come on.
This is just stupid.
Thank you, Dave. I think Dave Ramsey would agree. This is just stupid. This has gone full-blown conspiracy theory territory. I believe I don't get sick because my mind is so powerful. Yeah, what's the point of the seed cycling? What's the point of the doctor? What's the point? If you already know that your brain is so powerful, what's the point of doing any of this other additional crap? I don't know if she's lying or if she doesn't see the error of her ways. I can never tell. I never know. I don't know if she just purposely doesn't give a shit and it's I'm just going to say whatever I think and say it out loud and then never go back and process. Wait, did those two thoughts, can those exist in the same timeline? Or if she just goes, I don't care. I don't care at all. I'm going to say what I think, what I think will get me to sell more books, or I don't know. I'm never sure. And it gets worse.
Real thing that our minds are very powerful. And so in learning about these things and studying these things, I thought, okay, well, if my mind is that powerful, what are thoughts I allow myself to think that are no longer serving me? What are thoughts I allow myself to think that are no longer serving me? Because if I can begin to identify those thoughts, even if I can't control them every time, simply becoming conscious of where they take up space in my mind can help me to sort of shrink the amount of times that they're coming into play. And I started to pay attention to thoughts I had surrounding stress, surrounding sleep, surrounding feeling rested, and getting sick. I have in the past gotten sick in kind of the same patterns
True.
over and over and over again. Let me know if this is something you guys experience, but I essentially would get sick on the tail end of every big project that I did. So I'd have a big launch, like let's say a book was coming out, I'm going on a book tour, or I'm going on a speaking tour like I'm on right now, and that would happen. And then as soon as I had wrapped up all the things I needed to do, I would get sick. I would get really
I told you this. This was a banger. Number 6. Number 6. I don't believe that sickness is real. Number 6. If you're sick, have you tried just not being sick before? The Rachel Hollis Guide to Wealth, Health, and Happiness. Just believe. It worked for me.
really sick. It was like my immune system was like, just stay, just stay, just stay, crash. And I had all of these beliefs around that was sort of the way it would be, that I would just push myself as hard as I could and then I'd get sick. When I was learning all of these things about how powerful our minds are, I thought, well, hell's bells. Let's just see if I can change this narrative.
Well, golly.
So I started with an affirmation that was like, oh, I am strong, I'm healthy, I'm full of vitality, I have energy. I would come up with all of these things that I wanted to be that would be my version of what wellness looked like. And then one day I was like, I'm just going to try this. And I just started saying, I don't get sick. When people would be like, oh, look, you got to get a flu shot. I'm like, oh, no, it's okay. I don't get sick. When COVID.
Okay, there you go. That's the first. Now she's going to talk about COVID in a second. But she's like, do you want a flu shot? Oh, no. The Rachel Hollis, don't need a flu shot. The antibodies that are within that vial is vile. My own thoughts cure me, bitch. The audacity.
You're not freaking fine.
You're not freaking fine, Rachel. Something's going on here.
Are you Rachel?
Are you going insane? Yes. This is nothing unique either. This is like what, I was not fully in this engulfed yet when I was doing, my healing stuff and like was going to the chiropractor, like she had mentioned earlier. I didn't say anything, but I was also seeing a spiritual chiropractor. Yes. I was meditating a lot and going to group yoga things, and, I had a life coach. So I was down this path, and they really start, and I say they, but in the group that I was in, and it's, it wasn't a tight group. It was like a bunch of people that would kind of overlap in different areas of these modalities, right? Like the Reiki, a lot of people did the Reiki and the yoga, and then maybe one person wouldn't do the meditation. Anyways, but I would see the same people a lot, and they start to talk about like, once you're in and you're there for a while, they start talking about, oh, antibiotics are bad for you. Oh, vaccines are bad for you. Oh, wearing a mask? Oh no, that's giving up your sovereignty. Oh, birth control? Oh yeah, that's a scam. That's all a scam. Like what? Like but they don't tell you that day one. Day one, they're like, oh, we're so glad you're here. But then on day 500, now you're being told like, oh no, like, just tell the guy at Walgreens you don't need a vaccine because your brain is smart. It's like, oh my God. So she's not unique in this either. She's being indoctrinated. She doesn't probably even realize it. But let's go back just a second, talk about the flu vaccine, and then she's going to talk about COVID.
This looked like. And then one day I was like, I'm just going to try this. And I just started saying, I don't get sick. When people would be like, oh, look, you got to get a flu shot. I'm like, oh, no, it's okay. I don't get sick. When COVID happened, I said it over and over and over again. I was like, I don't get sick. I'm energetically protected. Angels are keeping me safe. My immune system is strong. I have the most amazing immune system ever. I just don't get sick. Y'all, none of those things, I have like no facts to base anything I just said. My immune system is not historically so strong. Historically, I had gotten sick all the time. But I just started to affirm that for myself. And I'd feel my body start to feel weak or get a tickle in my throat. And I'd just be like, nope, I don't get sick. I don't get sick. I don't get sick.
I'll sound about that too. I don't get sick. I don't get sick. Okay. If you got sick, like, yeah, something's wrong with you. Okay. I'm sorry. She doesn't get sick, guys. Yeah. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say other than that this is like the typical way that these privileged people who live on Mount Olympus start to think about the world because they are so up their own ass and have people who worship them. It's really the people who worship them that are making it worse. Like they say a thought and people go, and they can't stop. It's like human nature. I'm going to give her like a little bit of like, okay, you know, maybe she can't help it to a degree where it's like, if everything you say, people applaud you for it. You're going to think everything you say is special and perfect and uniquely, you know, because you're so smart. So when you have a bad thought and you don't listen to criticism because it's negative, this is the type of like spiral you can go down, especially because she's spiraling down in her career. She's going to now latch on to other things to believe in, to assert control back. And I think that's where we're at with this, watching this from the big picture perspective.
I know this sounds stupid, but I swear to you, this works. This works. Now, I also take care of my body. I drink water, like so much freaking water. I get sleep. I eat whole foods as much as possible. I am making really smart choices nutritionally. I have supplements. I am living for optimum health, which definitely supports this vision. But the affirmation of this being my truth, I think is the key. It is. Going on tour right now, crew members dropping like flies. I mean, God love, they're all friends or family. So I'm teasing, but you
already knew that because it's been evident. They're all friends and family because she doesn't have a team anymore because she can't afford it perhaps, or won't spend the money to have a professionally run show, or she didn't sell enough tickets that she feels like, fuck it, we'll just have a blank stage with a tablecloth, which is what she's done so far for these Rage Talk events. But this is like, yeah, this is just, it's classist behavior. Like, oh, I can eat clean foods and drink water and sleep, so therefore I'm going to be healthy. And if you don't do those things, which a lot of people can't do for various economic reasons, then you're going to get sick and that's your fault.
Are all getting sick because they're catching flus, they're catching colds, part of it is the stress.
Including her friends and family. That's what I meant to say there too. She's like, my friends and family are all idiots because they don't believe like I do that I don't get sick. They're dropping like flies, all my friends. It's like, okay, maybe you're just delusional. And if like you were like, it's like those people who, you know, are they're turning silver from drinking like that solution that's supposed to cure something, you know? And they're like, no, I'm healthy. And their whole bodies are turning like a different color and they like deny it. It's just denial. So she could be sick at any given time, but because she has this belief, she's going to delude herself. And is that any better? Maybe it feels better if you delude yourself and go, I'm not sick, and then be like coughing up blood. Like, I'm not sick. I mean, maybe that helps you. I don't know. No, it doesn't. I'm joking. But like, I don't think it's just like this is the cure-all. It's just like, oh, this is a way to deny the truth.
Travel, not eating well, not sleeping enough, having fun, like going out for drinks as a crew, whatever. So part of it is I don't do those things. Like, I love it. Like, hey, y'all go have fun. But I don't do that.
Okay. Also, in her VIP, I don't know if it's every venue or just some, but she's taking photos with people in the VIP as part of her package for Rage Talk Live. You have to prove that you have a negative COVID test 48 hours before the event, even if you're vaccinated. Now, if it's just friends and family and she's the one like running the show here, why would that be Why would that be required? And I'll bring that up in a second. I'll show you where that says that, so you're not just like taking my word for it.
I know if I'm going to put myself into a stressful situation, if you are going to put yourself into a stressful situation, you have to double down on the self-care. You have to double down on the things that are making you vital and healthy and strong so that you don't get sick. And when everyone's feeling bad, and one of the members of my team was like, hey, how are you? Like, everyone's sort of struggling. I'm like, oh, I'm great. I don't get sick. And she was like, ha, ha, ha.
Can you imagine if that was like your boss? Like, hey, are you okay? Yeah, I don't get sick. I'm like, shut up. Who do you think you are? Okay, here it is. This is from the Rach Talk Live website. Now, this is not her website. This is VIP Nation, where you can purchase tickets. On the gold photo op, VIP package, you get a seat in the first 10 rows, whatever. You get a VIP thing. Here it goes. For the safety of everyone, VIPs who are participating in the photo op with Rach will be required to provide a negative COVID test taken within 48 hours of the event, regardless of vaccination status. So if your brain is controlling your sickness and your ability to get flus and COVID, why do you require a negative test? That seems like at odds with trusting in the universe. Am I right or am I right? I'm right. Thank you. Okay. Back to Rach.
I'm like, no, for real. So I've gotten sick one time in the last 3 years, and I swear to you that I made a conscious decision to allow it. If you are not a hippie right now, you are rolling your eyes at me, sister, and that is okay. But I made a conscious decision at the beginning of this year. Noah, my daughter, who's 5, she was 4 at the time, got COVID. Sweet, poor baby. She got it from preschool. She's 4. She wants mama. She doesn't feel good. Everybody else had it. My boyfriend, look, you want to know how I don't get sick? I spent an entire week with my boyfriend. He had COVID. We didn't know. We were making out like it was a part-time job. Kids were with their dad, and I was like, hey, boo, let's do all the things. I mean, he was coughing. I just thought he had a flu. Like, he was coughing in my face sometimes in the night. And I was like, oh, poor baby, whatever. Taking care of him. Turns out he had COVID. I did not get it. Everybody in my family got it. Didn't get it. Noah got it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be holding this baby for the next 10 days. Let's just go ahead and get this over with. Let's go ahead and get those antibodies in here. Why
would you need antibodies?
Let's just go. So I did get it at the beginning of the year. And
whoever that was from, thank you very much for that super chat. I'm looking.
What excites me most is to see a person die.
What excites me most is to see a person die, specifically from COVID, says Rachel. Just kidding.
I'm about to mess this up.
True.
Who is this white chick?
It's Rachel Hollis. She doesn't believe in sickness.
I am not someone who fails.
I am not someone who fails and doesn't get sick.
Let's tune into this ankle.
All those sound bites go to whoever sent that super chat, and I appreciate it. I didn't see it because I think you're on the other stream. Or my thing's broken again. So thank you.
And I probably sound like an insane person right now.
Yeah,
but maybe some of you are like hippie granola people too. And you're like, I get you, sister. I just wanted to tell that story because even if you aren't full tilt all the way, I think that understanding that your mind plays a lot more of a role in your wellness than you understand currently can be huge. You are not required to get the flu this year. You are not required to catch a cold just because everybody else has it. If you're taking care of yourself, you're washing your hands, you're drinking water, you're getting enough sleep, you're making smart choices, you're making mostly smart choices.
You can still get sick. Okay, let's just call it what it is. So yeah, that story was a little bit convoluted, but basically she said that her daughter got it. So she decided okay, I will allow myself to get it now. Which if you don't need it, why would you want to get it at all? I don't know. None of this makes sense.
You should be able to live in optimum health. But the key to that is you believing that that is something that is possible for you. and that you just don't let those things take up space in your brain. That like if you feel you're like, oh, I'm feeling run down. It's like, have you ever been somewhere and someone will be like, oh, are you okay? And you start to feel sick even though you felt fine 2 minutes before. It's because your mind is so powerful. So if your mind is that powerful, give it the strength it needs to support your immune system. And that's my hippie advice for today, guys. That's my woo-woo spiritual out there. But I'll tell you what, you might not always track with what Sister's saying, but the amount of DMs and emails and calls to the hotline I get from y'all who are like, girl, I thought you were crazy with this manifesting thing, or I thought you were crazy with this mindset conversation. But I just tried it just to see, so like I could tell you if you were wrong. And I will be damned, but this is working for me too.
So then play it, bitch. Let's play it. Play it. Play those, because I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Thank you, Courtney. Okay, Joms was focused. He had his focus, or she, I don't know, Joms. I'm not sure. They were focused on the super chat that came in. Thank you. That means you will not get sick this year because it's not required. I am deeming it truthfully. Courtney,
I love you.
says Dave. Courtney says this back to Dave.
I love you too.
And everyone after listening to this podcast is going to say,
What the heck?
what the heck? Okay, we're almost done. This is a wrap up. Thanks, Courtney.
At the very least, it's worth a try. You don't have to like go off in every area that I've let go of things, but I think it's worth a consideration. Those are, I don't know how many things that was, but that's a handful of things that I don't do anymore. And it's worth asking yourself if there's something in your life that you could let go of that's no longer serving you. It's that simple.
Rachel Hollis
It's like,
podcast.
oh, there's a great quote.
I should let that go. I should let this go. I mean, it does serve me in the antithesis way, the opposite effect.
Is achieved not by adding more things, but when there's nothing left to take away. I'm not even aiming for perfection over here. I'm just aiming for like a beautiful life. A beautiful life to me means that we let go of things that don't serve us, especially when they were narratives given to us by someone else. They're not narratives that we chose. That's today's episode. I hope you found it helpful. If you dug it, share it with someone that you think.
Share it with everyone who had COVID last year and tell them that it's their fault, you idiot. That'll be a good way to share this podcast around with people.